Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking something absolutely massive that just dropped from Alibaba Cloud. Get ready, because we're looking at Qwen3-VL. Listen, this isn't just some incremental, minor update. It's a groundbreaking new vision language model that is fundamentally shaking up the entire AI landscape right now. Whether you're a developer, an enterprise leader, or honestly just an AI enthusiast, the sheer scale and capability of what we're about to cover is going to completely change how you look at open-source multimodal systems. Okay, here's a quick look at our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll cover the open-source disruptor, vision and action combined, Instruct versus thinking, crushing competitors, and wrap up with the cost revolution. All right, let's jump right into part one, the open-source disruptor. So for the longest time, the most advanced multimodal capabilities, models that seamlessly blend text, image, and video, well, they were locked away behind closed proprietary APIs. But Qwen3-VL completely shatters that barrier. I want you to imagine something for a second. What if you could just scribble a rough sketch on a coffee shop napkin, hold it up to a camera, and have a fully functional website generated in literal seconds? No way, right? But Qwen3-VL makes that what you see is what you get visual programming a reality. It doesn't just passively read text or describe a picture to you. It's a true visual agent. It actively understands complex visual tasks, gets the intent behind your design, and actually executes it. And it does all of this at a scale that's frankly unbelievable. Just get a load of this number: 1 million. Out of the box, Qwen3-VL features a native context window of 256,000 tokens, but you can expand that up to a staggering 1 million tokens. To put that into perspective for you, you could feed this model the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy, a huge stack of technical manuals, or a continuous 2-hour video all at once. And it doesn't just skim it. It hits second-by-second accuracy and nearly 100% recall in those notoriously tricky needle-in-a-haystack evaluations. Moving on to Section 2, Vision and Action Combined. You see, understanding an image is one thing, but actually taking action on it, that is where the real magic happens. Qwen3-VL is an active participant. It can literally operate your smartphone and PC interfaces, recognizing GUI elements, knowing exactly what a button does, and invoking tools to finish a task. Like we said, it generates HTML, CSS, and JavaScript straight from your sketches. Its OCR, or optical character recognition, now supports 32 different languages. That means it can perfectly read Greek, Hebrew, or Thai, even if the lighting is terrible or the image is blurry. It also introduces advanced 3D object grounding. Basically, it understands spatial relationships in the physical world, which is a massive leap forward for robotics and embodied AI. Oh, and it indexes long videos down to the exact second an event happens. So the crucial point behind these superpowers actually lies in its architecture. Qwen3-VL relies on 3 huge structural upgrades over the previous generations. First up is interleaved M rope. Yeah, I know it sounds incredibly technical, but essentially, it perfectly blends time, width, and height data so the model doesn't lose track of its spatial awareness during super long videos. Second, we have deep stack technology. Instead of injecting visual data into just one single layer of the language model, it fuses multi-level visual features across several layers. That's how it captures the absolute tiniest fine-grained details. And finally, text timestamp alignment. This natively links video frames directly to exact timestamps, moving way beyond older temporal modeling to give you highly precise second-level event localization. Which brings us to Section 3, Instruct versus Thinking. This is where Alibaba Cloud made a really fascinating strategic choice. They didn't just build one giant model. They essentially built 2 distinct brains. Take a look here. On the left, we have the Instruct variant. It is built for pure speed, blasting out 45 to 60 tokens per second. It's perfectly optimized for snappy, interactive use cases like real-time chatbots, where latency is everything. But on the right, we have the Thinking variant. This one trades a bit of that speed for some deep, multi-step logical reasoning. It is laser-focused on complex STEM subjects, advanced math, and deep multimodal analysis. It can actually output up to 40,000 tokens in a single response, just to show you its step-by-step reasoning process. So use Instruct for speed and Thinking for heavy, analytical problem-solving. And spanning both of these variants is the absolute powerhouse of the family, the 235 billion parameter mixture of experts, or MO, variant. Now, there are smaller versions that you could easily run on a laptop, but this flagship MO model features 235 billion total parameters while efficiently using only 22 billion active parameters during inference. It is built for maximum cloud-scale accuracy, handling the absolute most complex multimodal fusion tasks you can possibly throw its way. All right, let's get into the really fun stuff. Section 4, Crushing Competitors.
Okay, time for the data-driven showdown. We know the specs, but how does this open-source titan actually stack up against the proprietary heavyweights like OpenAI's GPT-4o and Google's Gemini 2.5 Pro? Well, the benchmark numbers here are just wild. We are looking at top-tier evaluations. On MMU, which tests multidisciplinary logic, Qwen3-VL scores a 74, edging out both Gemini and GPT-4o. Look at Math Vista. This tests mathematical visual reasoning. Qwen3-VL scores between 81 and 82, leaving Gemini at 70 and GPT-4o way back at 64. And on document visual question answering, or DocVQA, it hits nearly 97%. It isn't just competing with those expensive proprietary models, guys. It is outright beating them in core reasoning and understanding.
And when it comes to visual coding, remember that napkin sketch we talked about earlier? Qwen3-VL utterly dominates. Just look at the Design to Code benchmark, which tests turning walkups into actual production-ready code. Qwen3-VL scores a massive 92.0. GPT-4o comes in at 87.5, and specialized coding models like LavaCoder are trailing way behind at 78.0. Qwen3-VL naturally understands CSS grid, Flexbox, React structures, and UI components with a level of precision that honestly feels incredibly close to a human developer.
Which naturally leads us to our final point, Section 5, the cost revolution. So, we've established it has state-of-the-art performance, but let's bring this all back to you, the developer, the startup founder, the enterprise leader, and talk about the staggering financial advantage of adopting this model. Real-world developers are already seeing massive gains. As Dr. Lena Park from Aurora Labs points out, unifying their multimodal workflows with Qwen3-VL has instantly solved their messy pipeline issues. Instead of duct taping together a mix of screenshots, PDFs, and different APIs, they have one unified model that understands it all natively. That saves tons of development time for sure, but the direct API savings, they are even more shocking. Take a look at this number. $1,464. That is exactly how much money you save per 100,000 queries when routing your traffic through the Qwen3-VL 235B model instead of GPT-4o. If you crunch the data, assuming about 1,000 input tokens and 500 output tokens, processing 100,000 queries on GPT-4o would run you roughly $1,500. On Qwen3-VL, through an API router, it costs just $36. Seriously?
So the bottom line is this. This model operates at a fraction of the cost, somewhere between 10 to 40 times cheaper than its proprietary competitors. And because it's rocking an open source Apache 2.0 license, you aren't even locked into an API if you don't want to be. You can take it, self-host it on your own infrastructure, fine-tune it on your highly sensitive company data, and run it 100% privately and commercially. At that point, your inference costs are basically just the electricity required to keep your GPUs humming. It is a total cost revolution that truly democratizes access to top-tier AI. Which leaves us with, I think, the most exciting question of all. We are now living in a world where a model that can read 32 languages, map complex spatial relationships, code entire websites from a quick doodle, and completely outsmart the most expensive proprietary tech on the market is just available. Open source. The barrier to entry has literally been wiped out. So what will you build now that top-tier AI is open and accessible to absolutely everyone? Let that sink in for a minute. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I absolutely cannot wait to see how you revolutionize your own workflows with Qwen3-VL.